You have to hustle, grind, and work yourself to death to get ahead and make money. Do this and you'll be burned out and unhappy for the rest of your life. There's a better way. Hard work and the wrong philosophy, the wrong vision, or lack of purpose will never last. It may lead to temporary riches, but permanent unhappiness. You don't get a second chance to live a life you love and create meaningful memories. Avoid the burnout and live a life you enjoy now, all while building a future you want. See, look, my partners died at age 35. They lived wealthy, and they really still prepared for the worst too. See, my partner Les said, it isn't how long you're here, but what you do while you're here. What if they were sacrificing for one day, someday, a retirement? I had tons of judgment around the fun things they did. I remember in April of 2005, we were going to host this event. And they're off to Hawaii for 2 weeks. They're even off to the Carolinas for another week. So 3 of the 4 weeks leading into the event, they're just out playing and having fun. And I'm sitting there going like, what in the hell is wrong with them? I'm grinding, I'm working, and guess what? With like a few hours, Les was able to accomplish a lot of what we were hosting with this workshop and writing it down because he was relaxed, he was rejuvenated. And plus, anytime Ray would spend extra money, who's my other partner, to go do something, I'm like, dude, you could have saved that money. Why did you go, diving at night? You could do it during the day. Why did you get a photographer to go on the beach? You could just have one of your kids do it. So like, my mind was corrupted with the millionaire next door philosophy combined with kind of the hustle philosophy that everybody's been so into. And what it did is I was gaining weight, I was overly frustrated, I rarely saw my family, and ultimately, I wasn't happy. I was working hard, but I wasn't getting further ahead than them. And I'm so glad that they lived a life that they loved and enjoyed things, because my initial thought process about working like no one else did so that one day, someday I could live better than anyone else, my dad called me out on it. We're riding in the main street of the town I was growing up in, a really small coal mining town, and I'm telling my dad this in my 20s, and he looks over at me and he goes, son, all I can tell you is you can never buy back or have the memories that you never create. See, my partners, they made great money while creating a great life too. So how in the hell did they do it? Well, I learned from them that there's 3 simple steps that you can do to avoid burnout and enjoy life along the way. Let's begin with the first one. Self-care is critical. It's not selfish. The more you take care of yourself, you actually have more to give. So the question is, if you're hustling and you're grinding, you got to ask at what cost? And you've got to ask the question, is the juice worth the squeeze? What are you going to lose along the way? See, your health is your wealth. If you don't take care of your health, you're just not going to have the best version of who you are. See, after my partners died, I made this mistake where I was like, I'm going to keep everything together. I'm going to keep every employee. I'm going to do whatever it takes, and that do whatever it takes mindset of the grind and the hustle ended up burning me out. 25 pounds I gained over 4 months. My son was asleep in the morning when I left, and when I came home, he was already back to sleep because I just worked so much. And I couldn't make simple decisions. It's called diminishing marginal productivity. You give so much, and then you have less to give. And in the great book, Give and Take, there's this whole notion that if you give so much to takers, or you give so much that you sacrifice who you are, then you have less to give. That is part of that burnout. And so when you show up burned out, like think about it. If there was every single day an NFL football game where a team had to play, everyone would be injured. Nobody could play for very long. That's why there's an entire week's rest. It's part of taking care of yourself. So people are your only true assets, and you are the key asset, not a stock, bond, or piece of real estate. So you're investing in yourself, and how can you do that? Do you have a morning ritual, whether it's around exercise, education, and personal enlightenment, or taking care of body, mind, and soul? See, you got to make sure that if you don't take care of yourself and you have less to give, that's called sacrifice, giving up something greater for something lesser. And so when I look at my partners, they didn't believe in sacrifice. They believed in self-care and enjoying life so that when they did show up, they were the best version of who they are. They were performing at the top level. So what is your daily ritual, right? What can you do to start your day that you put on an armor of abundance, that you're the best version of who you are because you've taken care of yourself versus sacrificing too much? So you've got to ask, are you being busy or are you actually productive? Look, you can be busy all day long, but you become more productive by investing in yourself to start the day. So if you take that time, then you can ask yourself, what things bring the most value that you do to the world? What things can you do right now that are going to bring the most value? And just doing activities, just staying busy and diminishing your energy isn't going to bring the most value to the world. Sure, you might spend the most time in it. You might be doing things in the name of saving money that aren't high leverage, that aren't taking a lot of skill, but simply actually taking a lot of your energy and time that could have been used for actually serving others, for solving bigger problems, or delivering more value. And part of the confusion for people is they believe that we live in some zero-sum game where it's all about competition. It's about what you can do to take over other people or, or take something away from someone. If you go to wealthfactory.com/solution, you can learn how to collaborate, delegate, and innovate. You can discover the best of who you are. Sometimes we're so close to it, it's hard to acknowledge, it's hard to recognize. We think everybody else is good at it. But if you can find what you do best and spend more time in that, and then delegate and cooperate with everything else, you're going to have a massive breakthrough in your overall production. So let's recap this first piece. Self-care is essential. Investing in yourself, taking time for yourself, relaxation, rejuvenation, and recreation so that when you show up, you're the best of who you are, that you're not exhausting yourself in something called diminishing marginal productivity, that you're there more often, but you're not getting quite as much done because of that lack of energy. Having that daily ritual of investing in yourself, starting the day that way, and even taking some time off so that when you show back up, you've got that energy. I think of it a lot like when we had kids. My wife didn't want to have any support because she felt like that was a failure as a mother. And so she was not sleeping enough because we have 2 kids. They're on different sleep schedules. She's trying to manage everything. She's trying to take care of them. And because she's so exhausted, when she is around him, she tended to be a little bit more grouchy, not quite as present. And as soon as we brought someone in to help just a little bit throughout the week, then she got rest. Then she could run errands without these little crazy kids running around or crawling around in the store, and she's trying to gather them up while she's trying to get things done. And then she was actually more present. She actually had more quality time with them. So that takes me to the second piece here. The second piece comes down to, are you busy or are you productive? The world has us convinced that it's about how much time we spend on something that equates to how much value we're going to get. I used to work at this call center when I was in college, and I would just do it on the weekends. And I remember one time turning to my buddy Anthony and saying, yeah, if we worked basically 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day, we still would never get ahead because we're getting paid essentially minimum wage for manning phones. So it wasn't about just the time and effort, it was about productivity. And to be productive, you have to understand what things bring the most value to the world that you're capable of doing. Now, sometimes we have doubt, sometimes we have worry, sometimes scarcity creeps in and creates a level of fear where we're not sure if we could do this. Like I'm creating a one-man show for win then play, for helping people have a mindset shift from scarcity and living in this competition rules zero-sum game to moving to value creation. Well, I have to learn to act. I've been doing stand-up comedy to integrate a little bit of humor to it. I've hired a director and a screenwriter and going through all this is like, yeah, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, and I got to stretch and do things that I haven't done before. But what I found is it's increased my skill sets. I feel inspired by it. I'm excited by that. So what is it that you can contribute? What is it that lights you up? What cause is worthy of your life? It's not just about the hustle and just doing, because I was at that call center, I could do more of it, but I wasn't getting ahead. It's about changing the game where it's not about competition ruling, it's about collaboration. It's about delegation and eliminating things that take a lot of your time and energy, but aren't worth the squeeze, aren't worth who you are. And when you can innovate and create within who you are, I want to help you do that. wealthfactory.com/solution has an amazing guide. What it does is helps you to discover your soul purpose. It's your values, your abilities, and your passions, and really that vision or purpose that pulls them forward. So to be candid, you're going to just put in your information. We're going to gift that to you, but then you're going to get a few emails here and there with additional living wealthy insights and some resources. But every, 4th or 5th or 6th email, we'll let you know how you can engage with my firm Wealth Factory. You get to choose, but we want to add value first. We want to build this bridge where it's not just you watching a video, but it's you implementing and integrating this based on a personal situation for you. So are you busy or productive? Just look at your schedule at the end of the day. Did you do things that you want to do? Did they drain your energy? Were they neutral? Or did they add energy? If you could only do one thing in this world, what would you choose to do? What lights you up? What engages you? See, passion isn't enough, and that takes me to the third point here. It's not just about passion. You've got to find wherever you're fired up. whatever you're talking about most regularly. Or when you're doing something, where does time fly by? I think about my buddy Chris Zano. When he's filming, like this is a guy that's a bodybuilding champion. His food regimen is so dialed in. When he eats, what he eats. The only time he says that he might get off schedule is if he's filming. Because when he's filming, he just gets excited. He gets engaged. He just dials in. It just pulls forth the best of who he is. And I've seen so many of these cool videos where he's like walking through the woods and they've got a drone following him. And then he's coming in and telling this really great story from different angles with cameras. I've seen him like have cameras follow him around. When he spoke at one of my events, he had, the steady cam and a shaky cam and all this and it was just like this really raw, cool material. So for you, what is it? What matters most to you? For me, what matters is that people move from scarcity to abundance. That money becomes an asset, not a liability. That it's an ally, not a derailing or distracting or confusing thing. That people find out what their sole purpose is and bring it to the world. That they change the family's financial future. That they create economic independence. This matters to me because I saw what happened in my family. When my great-grandfather had to leave his wife, I hear the stories now of what that was like, being away from each other for 7 years, living in a tent, trying to scrape enough money to get his wife to come over from Italy with his daughter and buy a home. And the amount of scarcity that came in, that it was all about hard work and sacrifice. It was all about if I spend more time doing these things, but it meant they spent less time together. It meant that he died early because he was doing coal mining and he was exhausted at the end of the day trying to keep this whole thing. And we're now in an amazing time where it's not just about brawn, it's about your brains. It's about what you could bring to the world. So what is it that you do that increases your energy? What are the things that you do right now that are neutral, that don't really drain your energy? And what things decrease your energy? If you can really get clear about the 3 to 5 things that you could do that are aligned with your purpose and passion, that can bring forth the best results with value creation, and stick to those. Don't get overwhelmed, don't get overburdened, don't destroy your bandwidth, start to say no to things that are outside of those objectives. Now, if you want to take this to another level, you've got to create this compelling vision. For me, it's changing families' financial future and destiny by getting them economically independent where they can focus on legacy instead of survival. I want 1 million people to do that. How do I do that? I just had a call this morning with collaboration with other people in the financial world. I'm filming these videos and putting this out there to help people, to uncover what their potential is within them. And then as you really start to dial in that vision, then it's time to start revisiting your calendar. What things should you eliminate? What things make sense to delegate? And what things make sense to increase and spend more time. This gets rid of the hustle and the grind because now you're doing things that you enjoy. Just the other day, I wrote 5 outlines, very detailed outlines for these YouTube videos. The time flew by. I was so fired up, I was pacing around every now and again. I was just so excited about this kind of thing that we're up to and seeing the engagement. So go ahead and engage with me, comment, I'll respond. This is something I love doing. And once you have that vision, once you have those objectives, then you can stay focused. We just had a meeting with our entire Wealth Factory firm where I said, what I want to do is I want to write, I want to create workbooks, content, and videos. I want to make sure that I'm building the one-man show and I'm increasing the time where I'm working on comedy so I can bring edutainment or entertainment with education to help people deal with things that there's a lot of lack of courage or there's guilt and shame around money, and then make it a more enjoyable experience so that we can really transform the world. And as you start to speak this into existence, as you start to create your schedule around this, you start to find you can actually increase your impact and then take more time to yourself. This weekend, I just spent a lot of time in my cabin. I made a couple meals on my Traeger grill for my friends. We sat and laughed until we cried. Then I filmed a couple podcasts while I was up there, which were fun, and we laughed, and we had a lot of enjoyment around this. And we didn't even make it out to fish. We did play a game of foosball. Now I'm here filming because I was relaxed, rejuvenated, did things that I enjoyed. How can you find time to do that in your life? So it's not about one day, someday with retirement. It's about enjoying life along the way. Then you create the flow in your daily work and structure. For next year, I've already got how many days off I'm taking, what my days off are, the trip that I'm taking with my son because he's 14 years old and I want to take him out and see what it's like in a third world country and do some service work and really start to understand the rest of the world so he doesn't fear the world, but he starts to love people and understand that we have so many commonalities that it isn't just about focusing on the differences unless it's celebrating it, it's focusing on what unites us most, right? So I've already got those things. I've got time where I'm just writing or time where I'm just filming. I start to plan those things things ahead so that time for myself doesn't get crowded out. So self-care is still an essential part. So if I travel somewhere to speak, I'm taking the next day off. Why? Because the next day I might be filming and I want to be the best version of myself. Hustle, grind, and working yourself to death to get ahead and make money will only lead to burnout. I tried it after my partners died in 2006. It decimated my life. I'm lucky that my wife was courageous enough to confront me about it. And then I had the own ability to say, okay, I'm going to start spending more time taking care of myself and with my family, because you can have it all. I believe for a minute you couldn't, but you are the author of your life. Are you so busy that you work yourself to the point of exhaustion, you have no time to write what that story is? Are you violating that you're your greatest asset and you can't give much because you're so tired and you can't give anything if you're dead, by the way? Are you stuck in survival just trying to hustle through? It's time to learn about leverage and efficiency and create a structure that allows the world to have the best of who you are and live the life that you love. So, now you have the knowledge to transform your thoughts into profits and build that life that you love. Looking for more on this topic? Check out this video on getting rich in 1 year. You're going to learn how one of my friends went from scarcity to abundance without hustle, without sacrificing his life. And he did it in less than 1 year. As a matter of fact, before he did this, before he understood what I'm teaching here, he lived a life of sacrifice, and now he lives a life of abundance. He's been to Dubai, Hawaii, he's lost 70 pounds, he's living a life he loves. I want to share this with you, so I'll see you there.